Welcome to Elifashionlover's chat show, a platform where we empower people. We bring in professionals and business owners to empower our community out there. On this episode, we will be talking about things to know when setting up a new business. So I'll be having a chat with Lisa Nielsen. She is an entrepreneur, a business advisor, and an accountant. She'll be empowering us with her skills in terms of things to know when setting up a new business. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. So stay tuned and keep on watching. Welcome to Elifashionlover's chat show.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure meeting you and having to write to you and you accepting the invitation to come on board. It's so, should I say, magnificent. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
Okay, so in today's episode, we'll be talking about things to know when it comes to starting up a business. So would you please tell my audience what you do for a living, please?
Well, my name's Lisa Newton. I run various businesses actually, but the main business I've been running for almost 20 years is a bookkeeping service called Boogles. So generally what I do is I help small businesses get their books up to date, compliant, filed with HMRC, make sure they're staying on the right path. So that's bookkeeping. It's different software, various software out there, QuickBooks, Xero, Excel spreadsheets, cash flow forecasting, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I have a question for you, Lisa. Regarding to what is happening now in the economy, it's a bit of a quiet moment in terms of the pandemic. So I have a few questions for you. And my first one will be, do you think this is the right time to set up a business?
Well, they say there's never really a right time or a wrong time, but there's just the time. I think it depends in a sense what kind of business you want to set up. So personally, me, I wouldn't be trying to start a restaurant at the moment because of all these lockdowns and stuff like that. However, if you have a food-based business that perhaps you can get onto Deliveroo or one of those takeaways, then yes, why not? I think if you've been furloughed and you've got time on your hands, then now is absolutely a fantastic time because you're at home, I'm assuming, twiddling your thumbs, and it's a good time to start. And aside from that, even if you can't start a business full-time, then, and because you're in full-time work or something, then by all means start that business part-time. But I think it's very important to get started, because if it's not a global pandemic, there'll be something else, I'm sure, stopping you from starting a business. So just start.
Okay, so you recommend we just start and not let anything to keep us to keep us away from achieving that goal or dream?
There will always be a reason why not to do something, because I mean, for those of you out there thinking of starting a business, if you have started already, what stopped you before? So there will always be something for you to think, oh, maybe now's not the right time, but you just have to kind of get started.
Okay, so may I ask, what do you think scares people away from starting the business?
For many people, particularly if you're in a full-time job, I think the safety and security of having a regular paycheck can be quite daunting, because a lot of people think, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? And they have all these negative thoughts that flow through their mind, and that I think it's the fear factor of because anything you've not done before is scary or can be scary. So I think not knowing or not being sure, and just that uncertainty is what scares a lot of people away. And that's not to say it's not true or it's not there, but the hundreds of millions of people have started businesses all across the world all the time. And I think that whatever is stopping you can be overcome, whatever doubt you may have.
So you're trying to say it's okay if we have a doubt in our mind in terms of thinking, oh, should I start or shouldn't I start? So you think it's part of humans' trait to have this doubtful mind?
No, absolutely. And I don't know who wrote the book or who coined the term. It might be Tony Robbins, I'm not sure, who says feel the fear and do it anyway. So I think that I think it's very normal to feel apprehensive and fearful. For myself, I was quite fortunate because when I started my first business, it was in the same month that I graduated from university. So in many ways, it was a great time. A lot of people said, oh, that's a mad time, go and, get a job and, you've just graduated. But I thought, no, let me start a business, because at the end of the day, like the less you have to lose, the less, it's just the easier it is, So I'm glad I did it, because there is a saying that the road that starts out hard becomes easy, and the road that starts out easy becomes hard. So everyone who's always held on to a safe, secure job, that was the easy road. But as time goes on, that gets harder, because you're now scared of losing that position. And even though you might want to make a move, make a leap, make a jump, you're scared of, oh my gosh, but what if I lose what I've built up and things like that. So that paralysis can stop you from moving at all. So then you're stuck.
Okay. So, I mean, this other one sounds a bit related. However, I'll say, what would you say to people who feels reluctant to start this business?
I'd say, list the reason, like why are you feeling reluctant? What is it that you're reluctant about? Maybe list those down, and then and then you can address what the reluctancy is. I think sometimes when people hesitate, and I know, let me just talk for myself, if I'm reluctant or hesitating on any decision, it's because I lack the clarity. I feel like I haven't got enough details. I don't know enough to make a decision, an informed decision. So it could just be that you just need to just understand what is holding you back. What is that hesitancy? And if it is like, oh, I don't know, will this work, then do some market research, start advertising. Can you get some customers? If you can, great, it does work, let's go. So you whatever it is, you've got to kind of understand what that is, and then address that fear or that reluctance or that hesitancy or whatever that might be.
Okay. So from your experience, you've just used your story as an experience here, like a case study. So what you've just mentioned, it's lack of market research, and
Yeah.
You need to trace your why. Why are you starting it?
Yeah, and why, if you are scared, what are you scared of? Maybe list the reasons, and then you've got to address those reasons. So for some people, I think they don't start because they think, oh, how am I going to get any customers? That's normally the number one thing, like, will anyone want to buy this? Well, you won't know until you actually start. So advertise, and did you get any customers? And if you did, great, you got a business. If you don't, then you're gonna have to start again. And my background is, when I was at university, I did accounts and marketing. So I then used my marketing skills to start an accountancy business. And when I've done networking and met lots of people, I find that often that's the bit that they fall down on. It's the marketing side of things, because marketing's related to sales. And a lot of people think sales is a dirty word. Like, I don't want to do sales. Like, salespeople are horrible. But at the end of the day, in any business, nothing happens until somebody sells something. And you're not giving anyone the hard sale. If someone wants to buy what you're selling, then they're going to be happy to buy that. And that's what we have to remember. That's what we learn in marketing. You're giving the customer what they want. That's the number one rule of marketing. So if you've got a product or service, you need to give that to the customer. And if you've done your market research and that's what the customer wants, then hopefully they'll buy it off you. The price is right, and if you can find out where your customers are and get hold of them.
Do you know, when you mentioned about lack of clarity, do scare people away or does make people feel reluctant in knowing how to start the business? Do you know I was one of them as well? I had lack of clarity, which is what brought me to you, and you gave me the sense of direction. You made me feel welcome to say, look, Elizabeth, this is A, B to C. So I'm quite impressed that you've just mentioned the same thing as well because you have experienced such thing. So
Mhm.
thank you
No,
very
no,
much.
definitely. No, definitely. And sometimes, it's that lack of clarity that paralyzes people, because then they don't know, do I go A, do I go B? And they don't know, and then you stop in your tracks, you halt, you don't know. And oftentimes this is why people often get business coaches, so that they've got someone to talk something through to, so that it's clearer and they're like, okay, now I know what I have to do, and then you can go off and do it. So
I mean, talking about the business coach you've just mentioned, because I remember that I have about three friends who, I mean, they're well educated and stuff like that. So they wanted to run a business, but
mm,
I mean, they did bought extra courses elsewhere in order to keep on to the pace of knowing the know-how. However, when they wanted to join the should I say the membership of the coach, you know how much they were being charged. They were
how
charged
much?
around £32,000 the for a year subscription, and the cheapest one was like roughly 8,000 something, just for them to.
Wow. Well, the thing is, there are different levels of coaching. So not all coaching has to be that expensive. For some people, it will be like, oh, that's a bargain. But, you find the right level and the right price point for yourself. And I'd say that, there's different ways in which you can gain clarity, if you like. Some people have coaches. Other people literally might get together with a group, 3, 4, 5 other people. You can be in different businesses, but you're kind of like in the same boat. You might have an issue or a problem, and you might talk it through with different people, and it's like a mastermind circle, and they might say, oh, have you thought of this, have you thought of that? Because whatever your challenge is at the time, they've probably gone through it. A little bit more difficult, I suppose, if you've not yet started your business, but you have to take some sort of action, whether it's reading a book, speaking to someone, to help you through whatever the hump is, the obstacle, to help you gain the clarity so that you could forward.
We could move forward. Okay.
And sometimes it can be a lot to think about, but um, I, I find, having a plan really helps.
Okay. Okay. So when you say having a plan, so say for instance, you're
Mm,
talking to a novice who doesn't know how to set this plan. I mean, or
mm.
who lacks the clarity. What would you say? I mean, how would you say they should start in terms of the planning?
Well, it can be quite overwhelming, um, to know, all right, there's so much to think about. But I would say, it's a little bit. The thing is, cause maybe it's because of my background. When I was doing my degree, we did a lot of business training, so it was in a sense, a business studies course. So we so thinking of people who maybe don't come from that background and are just thinking, okay, like, where do I start, kind of thing. I would always start with reading a few books around business, because there's lots of books out there, getting an idea, reading around your subject material. Oftentimes people are quite an expert in whatever, like, product or service they might be selling, but it's just reading more books around business and stuff like that. And if there's something you don't know or don't understand, maybe just make a list. I'm a fan of lists. I like to write things down. And then you have to, like, organize, prioritize what's most important to what's, can wait for now. And sometimes I think people maybe get caught up in maybe the detail, like, oh, let me have a nice logo and stuff like that. That's lovely, but have you got any customers? Like, that's the key thing. You got to do some marketing of some sort, find some customers. I have been known to have ideas, and even before maybe the final thing's quite finalized, I'm marketing it just to see, is there any interest? Because if there's not, we can just put it away, because you know it's not going to take off. But then if there is, then you have to scramble around and sort out the the product or service or whatever it is. So it's all about customers first and foremost. Start there. Can you find customers?
Okay, so you should always think of how to get the customer before having to invest a lot into the logo
Yeah.
design, this we call it paparazzi.
Yeah, because I mean, over the years, I have to say, in terms of doing bookkeeping, I've worked with lots of different businesses, lots of different business owners, lots of different types of businesses. And in addition, I've done a lot of networking, met different people, and started different businesses with different people just because opportunities came about. And so, me and a business partner, we did have a hair business at one time. So it was selling keratin hair products, and so we kind of fell into that business. Long story, it's quite funny, but even in doing that, I was always thinking, okay, so who are our customers and how can we get that product to them? And the only thing with some types of businesses or products rather is that you just have to make sure that you're not on a fad, because back to the first question you asked, as in, is it a good time to start a business? It is, but depending on the product or service that you're doing, you don't want to be on the tail end of something. So if you remember back, there was a time when everyone, this is a while back, everyone had, for example, yo-yos, the kids and that, and then they had these fidget wizard finger widgets or whatever they were called. Never got into them or anything like that, but there was a season in which to do that kind of business. And some businesses come along and you're just in the right place at the right time, but other businesses that are there for the long term, then they're more stable, and your key mission should always be find out what your customer wants and then give it to them. That's the key thing we learned when I was doing my marketing degree, is you find out what your customer wants and you give it to them. That's it. And then the third pillar, you sell it. You don't give it for free, you sell it to them.
Sell it to them. So, how about looking to create a reputable brand? I know you did mention that we should think of the clients first. I mean, how to get the clients, but whilst we're still doing that, how can you create the brand and make it reputable?
Well, I think reputable brands, you need to be around for a while. So, if you are going to do something that's a bit faddy, that's going to be difficult to establish yourself in something like that if one minute it's here, next minute it's gone. So I would say for reputation, you've got to think about what you want to stand for. When people think of your brand, your name, your whoever, what is it that the first thing you want people to think of? What is it that you want to stand for? And then just make sure that everything you do embodies that and represents that, and that you're living within your, call it, mission statement, or that you're doing what your brand values are, who you are, the essence of who you are, that kind of thing. So you can, when you know what you stand for, what you want your brand's reputation to be, you can then form it into some sort of mission statement, and then going forward, anyone who works with you relay that mission statement to them, so it's like, you're all singing off the same hymn sheet, you're all pulling in the same direction, you're all working for the same team, so that everyone is clear as to what we're trying to achieve here. Because sometimes, it's like playing football. Let's say, if you don't know where the goal is, you can be kicking the ball all over the place, but we all have to have the same end goal, the same mission. So I'd say to be reputable and to last the distance, you just want to make sure that you're doing things honestly, ethically, and you don't think of, you do the right thing even when no one's watching. That's how you have a reputable brand.
Wow, I love that. You did the right thing when no one is watching. I love that phrase. Thank you. So we have another one here, which says, "What is the business and essential? What are the business and essential we need in order to get ready?"
The business essentials.
Yes. What would you say? Maybe the big, the cogent one. Maybe 3 points.
I think it's good to have a website. So if you've got a name in your mind, to buy that domain name, because you don't want to start using a name and then find out, someone's using it already. I would say think it doesn't have to be particularly complex, but just a one-page business plan, and write it down. Don't have it in your head, but I would say write it down. So they say the 4 P's. So it's a sentence. What's your product? Product, price, what price point? Place, how will you deliver the product? And promotion. Product, price, place, promotion. Write it on a piece of paper. That's your marketing sort of business plan template. And then set a goal for yourself. What will sales be in for 1 year? And then you've got something that you're aiming for, and then open a bank account. And I would say it like that. And you don't have to become a limited company in the beginning. You can be self-employed. You should tell HMRC. It's a simple phone call, or nowadays probably you just apply on their website and just say to them, newly self-employed, and they'll say fine. They'll send you a tax form every April, and you just start keeping a record. What's your income and what's your expenses? I know I've oversimplified it, but it really is as simple as that. You shouldn't use your personal business account for your you shouldn't use your personal account for your business, but in the beginning a lot of people do. They might have a separate bank account they can just use purely for business transactions, but now it's really very easy. There's a lot of online banks out there that you can open a bank account with. It's free, it takes like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, got your business account. It really isn't as complicated as you need to be. You want to have a business account because you want to keep things separate. And then you look at your marketing plan and say, right, promotion. How did I say I was going to find my customers? Go off and promote.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Lisa. You've done really well. According to, I've read a bit of your biography. I know you used to be, you've started your business since when you're a very young person. So can you tell me a little bit of that story, please? How did you start? Tell me about that journey. It's beautiful to me.
Well, okay. So the very, very, very first business I had was when I was in school, when I was 13, and I used to sell lingerie and bubbles to the teachers. And I know that if I was in school at the moment, I'd be the kid who would be selling face masks and stuff like that, because that would be me. But my mum used to be a seamstress, so one time she took me to work. I think it was like the Take Your Daughters to Work week or something, and so I worked in this factory, and then I realized that they had what's called cast-offs, which just means, like, say you've got to make 500 knickers and bras sets or whatever. You never make exactly 500, you might make 510, and so the 10 may be perfect, or they may have like a little bow missing or whatever. Nothing, you can just hand sew it, it's fine. They would sell those for 25p. So I bought them all up, and I went to an all-girls school, and I used to bring these, like, what's called cast-offs, but still, you go into the shop, it was like a lot more expensive. And for 25p, I might sell it for £3.50. You got a nice knickers and bra set, or a bodysuit, or whatever that might be. So I sold that, and then my next thing was bubbles. And that was because when my mum left that factory, I then didn't have my supply. So lesson number one I learned in business is that whenever you're doing a product, you need to have a supplier, because without that supplier, you have no business, because you've got nothing to sell. So I did bubbles for a little bit, and then I remember being at about 16 thinking, I need to have something to sell. I haven't got anything to sell. And I was kind of a bit stuck. I mean, that was a point at which, I could have gone in any direction. But anyway, so I went to college, and I did the AAT, which is the Association of Accounting Technicians, because my mum always said, being an accountant, you like working with money, and stuff like that, which I do. I like. I'm the reliable one. I track things, I mean, I've always been good like that. Like, your money's safe with me. So I absolutely loved doing accounts. Absolutely loved it. I just, sometimes it's unfortunate people don't find their calling until later in life, but me and accounts, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I remember I was 16 in the class. A lot of these people were on day release, and so they were like I don't know, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, big people. And there's me with my 16-year-old self, just on my GCSEs. But, you know, it was all right because it was an MVQ, it was a vocational qualification. I was doing my A-levels as well, but I was also doing this one day thing as well. But it was a very practical thing. And for me, luckily, you know, my mum always said, and I know I talk about my mum a lot, but one of the things my mum always said to me and my brother is to always have a trade. So my brother went into like carpentry, and so he's very good putting up shelves, doors and stuff like that. And my thing was always accounts. So I would say to anyone out there, you know, it's always good just to have what they say, something to fall back on, something that you're good at. And so did my A-levels alongside doing the AAT. And then because I don't know how I got into marketing, but because I always enjoyed that, you had to be 18 to do the CIM certificate in marketing. So that's what I did when I was 18. And that was the course I decided to do, because I thought, okay, you've got to learn how, if you're going to start a business, you've got to learn how to market it, you know, as well as do the numbers side of things. So that's what I did. And a big influence was reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I'd say to anyone out there, if you haven't read that book, fantastic book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he says, if you're going to learn anything, learn how to read the balance sheet, because that's like an X-ray of your financial health, which is true. And learn how to, and if you're going to learn anything, do law. He's American, so, you know, I understand that, because when the law changes, the future changes. And it's true, because you get yourself in front of legislation. If you know legislation is coming along down the way and you can start a business that's going to be impacted by that, that's a good business to be in. So, for example, you know, when these mask things became mandatory, if you could see that was on its way coming, you stocked up on masks, or, you know, whatever it might be, you know, it works well. But at the same time, it can work against you, because as they're doing at the moment, saying compulsorily all gyms must close, if you're in the gym business, then the government are saying by law your business must close. So knowing the law is always important too. So reading that book really affected me. And then when he said in the book, if you want to do anything, learn how to be a business owner and or an investor. Same month I graduated, I thought, right, start my business. So I've never actually had a full-time 9-to-5. And so when people ask me about, oh, how do I start my business and stuff like that, I can kind of sympathize, because when you've been in a safe, secure, steady job, it's very frightening, if you like, to give that up to do something that you don't know how it's going to go. But because I've never had that safe, secure job, and who knows how I'm getting paid from one day to the next, it's all part of the hustle.
Wow.
So I'm used to it. To me, that's just how life is. So I know that was a bit long-winded, but you know.
Wow, thank you very much, Lisa. You've done really well, honestly. I mean, I specifically picked you. The reason is because I know you sell some courses on Udemy, and these courses they specialize in business and accounting. And when I read your biography over there, it mentioned that you have started your business since when you were very young, and you only started your business with £150, and you have
Correct, yeah.
worked for someone before. So I can see puzzles of experience over there. And this is the experience I wanted you to bring to our audience over here, both on Instagram and Facebook. And I know somebody out there will resonate with this story, because you are using your experience to guide people to say, look, it's okay if things aren't going well. However, you can make it work.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, with the economy and things like that, things go up and down all the time. And people always say, oh, the best time to start a business is in the middle of a recession. And yeah, in a way, I'd agree with that, because if you can make it happen and work when things are really bad, imagine when it all picks up, you know, you'll be well away. So, you know,
Thank you very much.
why not?
Thank you. So, Lisa, if people out there wants to find you, where can they find you?
My website is lisanewton.co.uk. I'm on Twitter, Lisa_Newton1, and Instagram, Boogles B.
Okay. So before I let you go, I would like you to tell me more about your accounting. What do you really specialize in accounting, please? Because I know every business needs this.
Yeah, so we can do the bookkeeping or the accounts, filing the year-end accounts. I've got lots of courses, as you say, on Udemy, on how to use different account software. Because sometimes people, they've got a small business, and I mean, I think that it's really important to understand the figures and the numbers, and so you should never just outsource these things and not have a grip on the numbers. It's important that you understand the mechanics of your business and what's going on inside there. So I've got courses on different accounting software depending on which one you want to use, whether it's QuickBooks, Xero, Free Agent, Pandor. There's lots of different account software out there. So I train the online courses on those different software.
Okay.
And also just on Excel spreadsheets, because sometimes people want to use a spreadsheet to do their accounts.
So just to rephrase, so you've got courses on Udemy relating to how to do your accounting. You do QuickBook.
Yes, different software, different account software, how to do your accounts on different account software, and also self-assessment, how to fill out your self-assessment tax returns so that you don't have to pay hundreds of pounds for an accountant. You can do it yourself. Also courses on cash flow and budgeting, because sometimes people hear these terminology and they don't quite understand how it all fits together. So in working with so many business owners over the years, I thought, you know what, let's create some courses that I don't have to keep explaining things, and also as well just for clarity and simplicity, because people seem to not really have anywhere to turn to as to have these things explained to them.
Yeah, I would say there is so much information out there. However, when you have so much information, you get to be driven to analysis paralysis. So
Yes.
I prefer to have somebody, somebody like you who I can mirror, who I can speak to. Because speaking to you makes me feel like, I'm speaking to my sister. I feel comfortable. I feel heard. I feel been listened to. So those courses you have created, you've just changed the world with them.
Well, I,
No, it's a
they're very practical, and it's just through experience of having to put cash flows together for myself or others, and then teaching one-to-one as well and in classrooms, and then recording these courses so that those who can't make the classroom or can't meet me still have that information. And you have lifetime access to the courses, so you can always watch it over and over again, because sometimes you can be in a classroom, it just goes a bit too quick, and then I've missed that. But at least when it's recorded, you can watch it over again.
okay. So do you do anything like a membership platform whereby, let's say for instance, if people want you to mentor them, just like sometimes, if they want to, oh my goodness, oh, oh my God, this is how this is what I'm facing in business. What can I do? Blah blah blah. Do you do any membership thing?
Um, not not membership for mentoring, but there is a mentoring option on my website. So on lisanewton.co.uk, I think it's the bottom link. There's mentor there. So I mean, for me, I mean, I've had mentors in the past, but not. It was never ongoing. It might just be a one-off, and sometimes I just think that people need sometimes to just be told, and this is what's always helped me. Like, you speak through something with someone, and they say, right, this is what you're gonna do. Go and do that, and then you might not talk to them for another year, but you just know what you've got to do. And sometimes that's all we need. Like, just to be put on the right path, and be like, right, then I'll meet you at the other end when you get there. Like, this is what you need to do. So, you know, there's a difference between a mentor and a coach. A coach is much more walking along the path with you, and at every stop, right, you've done that, you've done that. But sometimes I suppose it depends on how you are. But if you just know the direction in which you need to go in, then, and you've got you can work under your own steam, which in any business you need to be able to do, because you're going to be your own boss. So there's no one to answer to except yourself. So you just have to know be disciplined, and that these are the things I've got to do and I've got to do them.
Okay, thank you very much. So, before you go, is there any book you will recommend to us? I know you've talked about the Rich Dad Poor Dad one, or is there
Yeah.
any business book that you could recommend, and any motivational book as well?
Yeah, I'm an avid reader. Absolutely love reading. So a couple of books that have really influenced me. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, definitely. And then he's got a follow-up book called Cashflow Quadrant. And I think that brought it all together in my mind as to it wasn't just about being self-employed, it was about being a business owner. So it's not about selling your time for money, it's about having passive income and having investments and making your money work for you. So cash flow quadrant was a good one. And then because I just love reading books about finance in general, another good book which I think's amazing, and if you're not a reader you can get it on YouTube, you can listen to the audio book, is called The Richest Man
In the Babylon.
in Babylon by George S. Clason. Yeah, Richest Man in Babylon. In Babylon. And it's available in different languages, in Spanish, French, So I'm just trying to cover all aspects so no one's got any excuses. And in The Richest Man in Babylon, that talks about the 7 laws of money, which I thought was it just all made sense, and one of the things it says in that book is that there's nothing new under the sun. So although sometimes we think, this is new, in many aspects, and especially when it comes to business, you buy something and you sell something, and that's it. And hopefully when you sell it for more than what you bought it for. And every time you make a bit of money, that profit, and this is what it says in The Richest Man in Babylon, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. So you must always put aside at least 10% for yourself. So everything you earn, a part of it is for yours to keep. And so I would say to anyone, if you're going to start a business and you get your finances sorted out, it's not just your personal finances, it's your business finances too. So as you're running your business, you must always put something aside and just make that part of your everyday expense. So you save all the time. You must always do that. It's a good discipline to have. I know a lot of people find it hard, but if you find it hard personally, you'll find it hard in business. So Richest Man in Babylon, very simple book, might not take you like half an hour to read, but it's the principles in there that you have to apply. And I have a book myself, I've got several, but one is called Make the Most of Your Money, and that's also been audio book version. So it's just the same thing. And another book which is Constant Cash Flow. And so this is just my perception, and this is me having worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners over the past almost 20 odd years. Constant cash flow, the principle behind that is that, and this is me doing the bookkeeping, it's always the same. Most businesses, always the same. You'll have 1 or 2 paydays or 1 or 2 clients or just 1 or 2 incomes coming in. And then you'll have like 20 days where you're spending money and 20 different kinds of expenses. The idea behind constant cash flow is that you try and around, don't we have like 20 sources or if not 30 sources of income, so that essentially every day can be a payday. And then just try and minimize your expenses and have less flowing out. So the idea behind the constant cash flow is like, we don't just rely on one source of income. So if you're thinking of starting a business, the principle behind that is that it's not just one thing you might sell, you might have various products. It might not just be one business you start, you might have more than one. But it's about just having that money, the cash flow flowing in constantly, multiple different streams of income. And I think that when you've got that, then starting another business or dabbling in different areas is less risky because you're not just relying on this one source of income. And this is why, it's fine if you're thinking of starting a business to keep your job. No one's saying give up your job if you've got a job, but just start your business part-time and just get that little stream of income coming in. I think that's just a good principle.
Okay, you mentioned something over there. The internet glitched a little bit. You said we should have like 20, when you work.
Yeah, 20 paydays. So 20 different ways of getting paid, preferably 30. So every day is a payday. And when you think about it, this is what, you know, the wealthiest and the richest do. They have multiple streams of income, and preferably passive income, because there's only 24 hours in a day. So it's not like you've got time to be able to, you know, it's not about working and earning money. It's about having passive income drop into your bank account all the time. So it could be bank interest, or residual income from property, or royalties, music, books, whatever it is, whatever asset you might own, having that pay you some sort of dividend of some sort, shares, you know. But you start small, you start with one thing. So, and that's how you build it up.
Thank you very much, Lisa. You've done very well. You've ticked all the boxes.
Oh dear. So, I mean, for anyone, you know, if you've got a business idea and you're wondering, is it a good business idea? Then think about, you know, can you buy it at the moment? Is someone else doing it? How much are they selling it for? So do your research. And can you deliver that product or service at a cost where you make a profit? Work out your sums beforehand. Don't just dive in. You know, people sometimes do that. They'll buy something and then they'll realize, oh, I can't sell it, or I can't sell it for a profit, or it costs me too much to sell it and then I don't make a profit. So try and work out your sums before you part with any money.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's a good one. Work out your sums before you part with your money. I like that. Wow, thank you very much. And thanks for coming on board with us.
No problem. It's been fun.
That's it.
That's it.
We love having you. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So, how before you go, how have you been keeping yourself, engaged during this time of second lockdown? Because I know it's not as hard as before. But have you got any tips you've been using to?
It's important to have things. You know, maybe your routine might have been going to the gym and the gym's now closed, but to find a new routine. And I know for a lot of people, trying to keep healthy was an issue for them, because especially in the first lockdown. So I would at least go for a walk around the block. I'd pencil it in. You normally used to go about 2 o'clock when it's a little bit warm. And just get a little routine going. And if you have things to do, then you have to be quite disciplined and to get them done. And, you know, if people ring you all the time, you've got to put your phone on silent. You've got to just say, no, got to block my time out, got to get this done. So this the first lockdown, I've got to admit, was not difficult for me. I'm used to working by myself anyway. So, you know, I'm not in an office like that, so it wasn't difficult. But I know for a lot of people, they were climbing up the walls. They just are not used to it.
Climbing up the walls. Okay, thank you very much. We've come to the end of our show. Thank you so much for coming in, and
no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep on looking beautiful.
No problem.
Bye.
And you.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the session that we had with Lisa Newthing. And if you have any question for her, we'll leave her details below, whereby you can always reach out to her. Or if you want to send a question to me, I don't mind. You can always leave a comment, or you can DM me and we take it from there. So thank you very much for tuning in today, and hope to see you next time. Do not forget to subscribe, and see you next time. Cheers.